Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on this episode of the Gauntlet, I want to talk about spy penguins. The penguins are a relatively recent addition to the game, so you may not have much experience with them, but they are great. You probably weren't thinking that they would be paired with spies, and I understand that. I ran all the combos by people that I trust to make sure I wasn't doing anything stupid, and Chucky's Cookie pointed out that there were some possible anti-synergies here. And there are. Notably, one of them is that this combination has two titans, and you cannot use both at the same time. Some viewers mentioned that the Kraken runs the risk of not being used at all in this tournament, and that's fair, but I knew that going in. In some respects, I like it because it means less games with titans, and titans can be trouble. It also makes some combinations stronger, because it means that there are less titans that can threaten them. I actually think that the spy penguins are one of those teams that benefit from such a phenomenon, as their titans are not easily replayed. But before I get to the titans, I want to take a look at what each faction brings to the team, which, depending on your perspective, could be synergy or anti-synergy. The spies are about deck manipulation. They want to get to your better cards and give you knowledge of what is coming. The penguins play off the top of the deck and initiate a ton of shuffling, which completely undoes your deck manipulation. Do the two goals compete with or complement each other? You can make a legitimate argument that they compete, but by virtue of the fact that I chose this team and consider myself to at least somewhat know what I'm doing, I'm going to obviously try to make the case that they complement each other. And that will happen as long as you remember that information is really important, and sometimes you have to do what your deck is telling you to do. To play this deck effectively, you need to know exactly how the penguin timing works and what that means for the spy abilities. Playing off the deck is not as intuitive as it could be, and due to the change in how they were distributed, many players never saw the official rules for them. I've added a link in the description. I won't cover every detail, as I have other penguin videos that do that, but there are two important things to remember. First, you only shuffle your deck if you have any revealed, unused cards. The second, much more obscure rule is that you do not shuffle these cards until after the card is played and resolved. This means that a spy, when played off the top of the deck with an unused card, is effectively useless, most of the time. There is nothing that can be done about that, but that isn't necessarily what you should be doing anyway. The penguins have such explosive power growth that they can cover large gaps in a single turn, but they need to be played from the top of the deck to get that full benefit. The spies can help with that. If you are intent on playing the hatching, you can ensure that you get a minion who wants to be played off the top of their deck. If you don't like any of your options, you can remove them all and take a chance on something further down. This is great for Command Penguin, who wants to get the right minion out for a burst. The bigger benefit is that the spies let you set up several turns in advance. For My Eyes Only can have you look at the top 5 cards, which can definitely set up your third card to be the perfect minion to play off the top of your deck. For Emperor Penguin, this is great, as you are getting a free minion play, and you know exactly what you are getting, and you are not shuffling at all, so cards you placed on the bottom are still on the bottom. But a much more subtle spy benefit is that it tells you when to not play off the top of your deck. If you know the top card of your deck at all times, and it's a powerful action, you know not to let it get shuffled in, and you can ensure that you draw it rather than repeatedly banishing it. There are some penguin actions that I really love, and it's frustrating that they keep getting revealed and shuffled, which not only means that I never see it, but my opponent knows that I don't have it. The Super Spies have two very powerful specials. I really don't want you to know that they are in my deck and not in my hand. So while deck manipulation can absolutely be undone by revealing an action first, it can also help ensure that you reveal the best minion. But the spy penguin benefits go beyond that. While there is something poetic about combining a faction who doesn't have to play minions from hand with a faction that makes your opponent discard minions, each faction actually solves a lot of problems of the other. I love the mole, but the spies have terrible mole actions. They make no sense to play in Phase 3. Mindraker is probably the one exception. But the penguins have fantastic mole targets. In fact, I like almost all of them, where Secret Mission is the one exception I don't like. The hatching is a fantastic way to get additional presence on a base, and it doesn't require a minion from hand. It can even trigger Dancing Penguin for a last minute 4 power, or a Baby Penguin leading into another minion. But the hatching is also a great way to start the next base when you are already winning, again because the play comes from your deck. You can also achieve the same effect with leaping aboard, and only the base is unknown. A wish for wings that work can be a last minute 4 Mergicon if you need the extra power. Many of these actions work because the Penguins win so easily on their turn that you don't need the extra boost. Pebble Gift is a great action to set up in advance because it can draw a ton of cards in a single turn. Ice Slide is a fantastic card to play at the last second because you can draw a ton of cards to replenish your hand. Under the Ice is like the hatching, and again you can play the minion anywhere. But the absolute craziest, zaniest card to play with Mole is I Can't Tell Them Apart, because who knows what will happen. Particularly if you have Pebble Gift there already. This action is extremely random, but it doesn't have to be. The action needs minions that have on-play abilities and minions that lack power counters or boosted power, which the Penguins largely have. They have only one power increasing action, and the Spies also have no equity, but there are some bonuses. In this context, the Spy is actually awesome because of the timing. The resolution happens first, and the shuffling does not occur until all the cards are played and resolved. That means that the cards that the Spy is viewing, if you have more minions to play, are in fact relevant, and you can get advance notice of what is coming. You can ensure that you play a certain minion next, while also ensuring that you do not play a minion by putting it on the bottom. This can mean ensuring a Baby Penguin for an extra minion play, ensuring that the Mole comes out. Because the Mole is played again, while still in the in-play specials phase, this new Mole is considered a different minion and therefore its special can be triggered again. You can shuffle in the Secret Agent and ensure that it is not played again so that he can continue to wreak havoc on another base. To a lesser extent, Operative can also do this. If you are already winning, and winning by a large margin, you can simply replay minions and draw cards while taking a chance that you saved some minions you'd like to have again, including the Mole. And because Pebble Gift does not trigger until I Can't Tell Them Apart finished, you have a real chance of drawing those cards back into your hand. And if you get back a Mole and wanted another extra action, you still have all those other great candidates. You also have the chance of getting a Surfing Penguin to kick off your own unnecessary minion, particularly a Spy Engine minion. One of the Penguin problems is that they lend themselves to giving an opponent an easy second place. They have a few ways to kick people off, but it's hard to time like Surfing Penguin. It's much easier to do it deterministically, which the Spies can do. They have 2 specials that can remove minions. If you can drop a ton of power and then kick someone off at the last second, those are unanswered points. Normally, the counter to Penguins is to Shinobi at the last second or move someone on, but the Spies can counter both of those. If you want to move a Dust Devil on, you need to move multiple because in-hand specials come after, and once I start playing mine, you can no longer use your in-play specials. By bleeding other players of minions, they have less minions to play, which keeps their minion count low at a base, which enables the Super Spies to steal what is remaining. All the Penguin plays from the top of the deck are a form of card draw, meaning that you will be seeing your Spy specials as long as you avoid perpetually banishing them. But what about the Titans? I actually think that there is room for both. You cannot have both in play at the same time, but both are really hard to play at specific times. Moon 03 cannot be played on a base with other players' minions, which is easy to avoid in the early game, but harder as the game progresses. An Emperor Penguin requires 3 minions, which is difficult in the beginning, but easier as the game gets along. Additionally, you really don't need the Emperor Penguin's recursion at the beginning, so I'd be inclined to use Moon 03, who has a greater power output anyway. What this allows you to do is have an easy split focus where your Titan can grow large on one base and you rapidly play minions on another. You can later use Emperor Penguin to recur those minions while the Spy actions slow the game and disrupt your opponents. It's not a perfect handoff, but there could be as little as a 1-turn gap, and I think that both Titans have a role to play, just not at the same time. Assuming that you've managed to avoid the anti-synergies and found a way to utilize the deck manipulation to your advantage. What are some of this team's other weaknesses? Obviously, Penguins crash hard against Eliza, and they lack the means to disrupt her. The Spies have no power bursts or extra plays, so the Penguins rely on sub-power minions in order to break her base. Fortunately, they do have a bit of action-based power, and they have Titans to compensate, but they are slow, one power at a time, immobile Titans. Eliza can stay out for a long time as a result. Another weakness is that the Penguins can burn through their minions quickly, relying on their Titan to sustain them. If you can keep Emperor Penguin off the field, they might actually lose all minions in their deck. It is possible to play a minion off the top of your deck, only to find out that you have none, which is why Emperor Penguin can also reveal minions from your hand, so attacking the Titan is a viable strategy. Emperor Penguin can be played with an action, but only twice, and that action-based power mitigates the need for more minions, so it might already be used. This team is also very susceptible to mass destruction, as the Penguins tend to play multiple minions every turn. There is an element of randomness to their plays. Sometimes it works, but other times it does not. This means that you could have an above-average turn wiped out with a single action because you lack defensive abilities or permanent power increases, and many of the Penguins are below average power. I never like to count out the Penguins though, and the Spies are a great support for them with some truly powerful cards. I think this team creates a much more intriguing playstyle than Swarm on Swarm, which can be really broken. What do you think of Spy Penguins? Let me know in the comments. That's it for this team. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let's shut it down.